Hello, everyone. We're back again for the afternoon session of day one, Inspiration of Newcastle Startup Week online, where I'm delighted to be joined by Ammar Mirza, who is been a great friend and supporter of the event from the very beginning and was one of our keynote speakers way back in 2017. So, hi, Ammar. How are you doing?
Great. Delighted to be here this afternoon, Paul. Been full dipping in and out all morning. Really exciting, really inspiring show.
Thank you. No, it's great. It's great to have you here. So, I think, back in 2017, you gave a talk on the power of three. But now you've got an updated version, which is the power of P. And it's not all about me. It's not all about the power of Paul. It's about, so do you want to say briefly what it is, or do you just want to go straight into the presentation?
Well, actually, this is me sharing for the first time ever what the power of P is. So everybody is going to get the opportunity to understand what it is about. You're right. 3 years ago, the power of three, and I'll explain that in a little bit more detail, but let's just get going with the presentation, and then everyone will become clear on what it is all about. Although, happy for it to be about you as well.
Right, okay, I'll bring up your slides. Okay.
Great. So thank you ever so much, Paul. Delighted to be here this afternoon and to share with everybody what the power of P is. So I'm going to be sharing some very private insights, stories from my life, some of which I've said I'm sharing for the first time. I was going to call this particular presentation Boy from the Brown Stuff. One, as a result of the perceived crap life that I may have had, and two, because of some of the brown nosing I had done to get where I am. But I've had an amazing life that I wouldn't change one little thing about. So, for me, one thing in life is certain: we can guarantee in uncertain times, uncertainty. So I'm going to be sharing with everyone today how you can guarantee success by becoming more patient, persevering, and positive. And that is the power of P. A little bit about myself, and appreciate that in 2017, you might have heard some of these stories and background. That first picture up on the left is me many decades ago. I'm not going to tell everybody how many decades ago, but it's nearly half a century. That was me on the right. And when I went to sort of secondary school, I was a bit of a swot. And then roll forward sort of 10 years from that time to me having my daughter. That's a geeky looking me. And with my daughter, Yasmin, I then became a single parent and brought her up, and then roll forward a couple of decades later. And that was one of the most proudest moments of me. This is me at my wedding, and my parents, who were devout Muslims, getting involved, recognizing the importance of inclusion and celebration, and delighted to have married the most wonderful person in the world, Louise, to whom we now have two beautiful children. So, three, as you've heard Paul mention, was a methodology I'd come up in actually 2015. That was me being appointed the David Goldman Visiting Professor at Newcastle University. And I remember it was one of those sort of feelings and experiences where you're elated, you're delighted to be recognized, because the David Goldman Visiting Professor is an industry expert, someone who's made a demonstrable impact in their career and in their industry, recognizing them as one of the best in their field. And the first thing that you do as a David Goldman visiting professor is do an inaugural lecture. And over 100 people come together, and it's full of academics, business and community leaders, some of the foremost thinkers in the globe, I'd argue, come together. They're sat there, and I was sat there thinking, okay, what am I going to talk about? Now, naturally, I could talk about leadership, I could talk about innovation, I could talk about a variety of things, but not at the same level or depth as these academics that were going to be sat there. So I thought, should I explore nuclear physics and quantum computer, or the time and space continuum? Both sound very intelligent topics, but neither of which I would really be able to learn in a short period of time. So I thought, what could I do? What could I talk about? And I'd come up with this methodology a few years prior to this, which was called the power of three. And it recognizes that throughout history, throughout time, three is a magic number. So, whether that is the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, or whether that's two bricks lying side by side, they do very little to support one another. You place a third on the top, and it solidifies it. It makes it solid. Or various signs and symbols, they're all that are illustrated in three. Even time is recorded as the past, present, and the future. So I thought, okay, there's obviously a methodology, an approach here. What about if I took the third letter of the alphabet and applied that to communicate, collaborate, and celebrate, and created this methodology? And this methodology, quite simply put, if you can communicate with your audience or the individual you're trying to engage with effectively, if you can then go on to collaborate, bring people together to support you, and more importantly, if you're able to celebrate, all of a sudden, you have the backdrop to success. And using this methodology, whether it's personally or professionally, allows you to develop an approach, a consistent approach to grow. So, power of P, as I've mentioned, what is it and how is it demonstrated? Well, for me, this is one of my all-time icons. It is none other than Muhammad Ali. And he's probably one of the most patient people in the world, and it's been demonstrated throughout his career when he kept on coming back from challenges and came back to become the world champ 3 times. That's because he was patient. He knew he had to, and he continued. The second influence in my life is Sir John Hall, and he persevered, and he demonstrated how he persevered through his commitment to the Metro Centre, and he knew it was going to be the best, the biggest in the world at the time, and it was the biggest shopping centre in Europe, and he persevered even though lots of people turned around and told him, actually, you don't know what you're doing, you know, this isn't going to work, and he persevered and he made it work. And the third influencer for me was, and still is, Wonder Woman, probably because I had a bit of a crush on her in my earlier life, but also because she demonstrated positivity without a doubt. And throughout her this fictitious character, she demonstrated her ability to be positive and shine the light on everyone through her approach and tackles that. So that's the power of P. How is that illustrated? Well, you know, for me, having grown up in abject poverty, where we didn't have anything, and Mum brought me up, 5 of us up, working 18 hours a day, to go on to then become the first Asian chair of governors in Newcastle, the first Asian David Goldman visiting professor, the first British Asian in the Northeast to get a CBE, the first British Asian to share a prayer with the Queen at St. Paul's Cathedral. I've been so competitive with myself, and that competitiveness has driven me. But it's all about adding value. So patience and perseverance. I've had lots of knocks. Absolutely, there's been so many challenges. And of course, it's dead easy for me to sit here and say, isn't life rosy? Isn't business a huge success? It hasn't been, and it's not. But one thing I knew where I wanted to be, and I knew how I was going to try and get there. And I was patient, and I persevered, and I failed many a time. But every single time I learned and I grew. And that led me on to fundamentally, for me, becoming what I am and having the experiences that I have had. Patience and perseverance. Demonstrating positivity is the next part. So in 2012, Louise and I were expecting our first baby, and we'd had a number of miscarriages up until that point and a number of other issues. So when Louise fell pregnant, it was an incredible joy for us. But we went down to Liverpool for Christmas. Yusuf, our son, who's baby Jesus, wasn't meant to be with us until February. On the way down to Liverpool on Christmas Eve, Louise was saying she was feeling a bit uncomfortable, and I remember that journey vividly. And we got to Liverpool actually the day before Christmas Eve, and on Christmas Eve, Louise woke up, and I remember speaking into her stomach at the time and sort of saying, "Baby Jesus, if you're going to come today, I'm going to call you Jesus." Anyway, lo and behold, cut a short story long. That particular day, we went shopping, thought we'd get checked out, went into Liverpool Women's Hospital, and they weren't happy with how Louise and she was monitoring, so decided to keep us in, and within half an hour decided to whip out this baby some 9 weeks early, and for the next month we were in hospital. For the next week we didn't see daylight. I slept on the floor in hospital. We didn't know at the time whether baby Yusuf would survive, and it was one of the most scariest, daunting experiences ever. It was Christmas. That paled into insignificance, and nothing else mattered but this small bundle. That picture on the top left that you can see, that is Yusuf on Christmas Day in what they describe as the most critical care unit. And since then, through our power of positivity, we got through that, and Yusuf has then gone on to become an incredible, young, joyful person. His middle name is Jesus, just so you know, and he continues to spread positivity and joy across everything that he does. An approach. So one of the key things that I've always sort of become determined on is having a goal, and because without having a goal, it's quite simply difficult to score. So what are the traits for having a goal? Well, it's about being ambitious. It's about having aspiration and having the right attitude. It's about believing in that, changing your behavior and being bold and courageous. It's about utilizing that methodology about communicate, collaborate, and celebrate, and making sure that every single day you plan in advance. So what's the future? And yes, this is Yusuf a couple of years ago now, wearing my medal that he very proudly wears, and he went to school. And one of the things, the lessons that I can share that we can all learn from young people is they are determined. And they're determined because what they do is they focus incessantly on one thing. Can I have that toy? 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 And they either get to a point where they get that toy, or they don't and they move on. and they focus on the next thing. So the most important thing is focus exclusively on your most important task. The second point is invest in the future, because one thing's for certain, if you can have a longer term goal, so whether you look and trace Apple, Google, all of these foremost organizations, they've always had a long-term vision and focused on it. Yes, they've adapted. Yes, they've adopted to change, but they have invested in the future. And then become more patient, persevering, and positive. So thrive rather than grow. And don't leave things till tomorrow, because tomorrow is a mystical land where 90% of the world's motivation and productivity exists. In fact, tomorrow never comes. So let me just reinforce the power of P. It is the power of having a plan, being patient, persevering, and remaining focused cannot be overstated. Thank you. Paul, you're on mute. Everyone's probably heard that so many times. Thank you.
Amazing.
So, that was a bit of a whistle-stop inspirational tour. I put that presentation together exclusively for this, but it's all about being patient, persevering, being positive.
Yeah. So I love this. I mean, I always love hearing you talk anyway. You always give a great presentation, but why did you want to change it? Why have you updated it? Because I know you've added new bits to it, but why? Because it's still, well, it's the power of P, but it's 3 Ps, isn't it, as well? But I know the 3 Ps is like a marketing term, isn't it? But why did you stop calling it the power of 3? Or just
because actually it is a continuation of 3, because you're absolutely right. But I've spent the last sort of 5 years in particular identifying what are the single biggest traits for success. So whether that's you as an individual or whether that's organizations, what are the things that really, really help you to succeed? And the biggest traits for success, Paul, are these traits. So let's say, James Dyson, 5,247 times he tried creating the Dyson, right? How many times do people like you and I give up?
Well, we might stop it. Yeah, but you keep on going, don't you? That's the thing. Like, you don't.
Well, my point is when trying something new. I mean, statistically, it's a great fact. Here's a great fact. Statistically, how many times do you think people will do something prior to giving up? So they've got something they want to try. How many times do they actually try?
Don't know, not many. I think a lot of people don't even try, do they? But they might try one.
So the average is 0.8%. Right. So that's even less than trying. So that's the average, right? Yeah. Now, if you look at the other extreme, is and just to be clear, it's about having a vision, and it's about having a dream without a plan is just a fantasy.
Yeah.
So it's about having that plan. It's about validating that plan. But the key thing is patience. It's sort of being patient with yourself and those around you, persevering, driving forward. And the most important thing is positivity. And actually, Paul, in the current climate, if you think about how impatient we have become, right? Whether that's tech, oh my God, I've lost the signal. Whether it's people, oh my God, you're not going to hurry up in the queue. Whether that's in whatever it is, we have become so impatient that it's starting to affect our mental health.
Yeah.
And I'd argue that almost some of the vast majority of challenges affecting all of us, certainly through COVID and certainly through these uncertain times, is we're not as patient. We don't persevere. but above all else, we're not half as positive. And it's really hard to be positive in an environment where you don't know if your business is going to survive, you don't know if you're going to keep a job. I mean, to put it bluntly, you don't know if you're going to die, right? Yeah. And that's quite dramatic. But the benefit of having a sort of a positive attitude or a gratitude attitude is all of a sudden you take time to reflect, right? And if anything, positivity is infectious. So the more positive you are, the more positive you become, the more positive those around you are.
Yeah, no, I get that definitely. You're always positive when I'm around you, and that is infectious because I always feel more positive when I'm with you, and hopefully, well, we always seem to bounce off each other really, really well. So, likewise, when you're with people who are really negative, it kind of brings you down, doesn't it? So you don't really want to hang around people who are just all doom and gloom all the time. You want to feel like it's not like saying everything's fine, everything's great, nothing to worry about. It's being optimistic and positive that things are going to get better. It might not get better immediately, but it will get better at some point if you just keep at it and do it the right way and plan it, like you say, and put the effort and bit of planning and perseverance in it. And so yeah, I think it's a really great message that you share there in your presentations about everything that you do, Ammar.
And thank you, Paul, and the feeling's mutual. Yeah, I'm delighted to play a minute part of this, and the key reason I do is because of you. I value and respect what you're trying to do, connecting the community, bringing people together, and sharing that learning, because we all learn from one another. And just to finish off on, this whole aspect of positivity. Because there were some comments on Star Wars in the early Facebook, and the premise of Star Wars is hope.
Yeah.
And if each and every one of us has hope, we have potential happiness, we have a potential future, and we can potentially make a difference. And hope only comes through positivity.
Love that. Right. So anyone who hasn't watched Star Wars, you need to watch that. Definitely. Start with was it episode 4, A New Hope? I think that's the one to start with, isn't it? Yeah, because there's the light, there's the dark side. People can feel down and negativity, but stick to the light side, stick to the good side. Even Star Trek, even though I'm not a massive Star Trek fan, when I have watched particularly the old kind of 60s episodes and early films, that's all about like boldly going where no one's gone before, and the idea that things can be better and that you can share humanity and all the positive aspects of humanity with the universe, and take the best bits from one planet and share it with another. So it's I love it.
Perfect. Well, thank you ever so much for the invitation, Paul. As always, I enjoy coming on and talking to you. I'm looking forward to connecting with the rest of the week and learning some more. And we'll be dipping in on Thursday around scale with the scale challenge is what we've got. So that's quite exciting for everyone. We're using a methodology to help organizations scale and grow. And actually using the power of 3. What are the 3 enablers for business growth? And we'll be sharing those secrets too. So, yeah, wonderful. Thank you ever so much, Paul.
Okay, thank you. Have a great day. Okay, cheers.
Bye.
Well, another amazing presentation from Ammar. He's definitely one of my favourite presenters and favourite keynotes that I've had over the years at Newcastle Startup Week. And like I say, always been a massive supporter of not only the event, but me personally. Lots of encouragement and support, and always trying to do a similar thing to me, I suppose, in a slightly different way, just trying to use his influence or perceived influence online and offline to try and bring people together, communicate ideas and create platforms and opportunities for the people to help them fulfill their potential. So yeah, that's it for this. Next up, I'm going to share an amazing interview between Tony Robinson, OBE, and Taryn Lee Johnston, talking about their new book, which is The Happypreneur. So check that out. I'm going to end this broadcast now, and then I'll upload that video in a few minutes. Okay, cheers everyone. Bye.